Today I'm going to give away a free t-shirt, bring you a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, bring you comics news, and reveal the books I bought this week. How y'all doing? I'm Victor, and you are watching a Comic Hero show. Now kick that intro! Welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. This month is Autism Awareness Month. Now, autism spectrum disorder, which is the correct terminology, is a serious developmental disorder that impairs the ability to communicate and interact. And it impacts the nervous system, and the range and severity of symptoms may vary. Common symptoms include difficulty with communication, difficulty with social interactions, obsessive interest, and repetitive behaviors. Now, early recognition as well as behavioral education and family therapies may reduce symptoms and support development and learning. Now, here in America, there are more than 200,000 cases per year. Now, autism can be treated, but it cannot be cured. And this is an Autism Awareness Comic Hero tee. I wore this for the first time last year, and I'm going to wear it every year in the month of April. Now, in my line of work, I have lent my services to people with autism. And honestly, I can tell you that I've learned so much from people with autism. Now, say what you will, but people with autism are some of the most brilliant and organized people I have met in my life. The routines that these people have is incredible. Now, there are some people even now that pretty much like write them off, but that's not the way to do it. I mean, it's sad that, now that we're in the 21st century and, everything is so, a lot of things are so advanced, but the way we think are. Instead of making assumptions, we need to start listening. I want to tell this quick story. There was there was an individual that lent my services to with autism. I took him somewhere to eat, and everything was going fine. But then some idiot decided to come over and yell at him because of his repetitive behavior, and it really upset him. It upset him for hours, and I was so upset about it that I almost lost my job because I wanted to punch this guy in the face. And not only that, but his wife wanted to punch him in the face as well. But he wasn't bothering anyone. He was only bothering this one. The individual was only bothering this one person who didn't know anything about autism or autistic people. And autistic people are some of the most amazing people. Are some of the most amazing people I've ever met. And again, we need to stop making assumptions, and we need to start listening. There's no place for making assumptions here in society. And so we need to do better. All right, it's time to give away a free t-shirt. Alright, on the last episode of the show, I asked, what was the name of the limited comics imprint in which DC and Marvel Comics merged their characters into new ones? Now, here are the hints again. The first hint is that the name of this imprint is also a 7-letter word that starts with a letter A, and it means a combination or mixture. And the second hint is that the name of this imprint is also the name of a famous comic book store and coffee house in Philadelphia. And then the third and final hint, the name of this imprint consisted of superheroes like Super Soldier, Spider-Boy, Lobo the Duck, and Iron Lantern. Well, the correct answer is Amalgam Comics. And 16 people have answered correctly, and because they've answered correctly, your name's been entered in a drawing for a free tee. And that drawing takes place right now. So the winner of the free tee for this week's episode of the show is... Liz Mills from Brooklyn, New York. So congratulations, Liz. You win yourself a free Comic Hero tee. All right, here's the question for next week's episode, and this is a Marvel question, and I really want y'all to think very long and hard before you answer this question. True or false? Stan Lee founded Marvel Comics. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tee on next week's episode of the show. All right, now the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight is reserved for viewers and fans to make requests. But every once in a while, I like to come up with one, and this one features a member of the Squadron Supreme of America going up against a villain of Batman. Representing DC, we have Talon. And representing Marvel, we have Nighthawk. These two are going to duke it out in a segment I like to call... The Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Welcome to the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Today, it's Talon versus Nighthawk. Talon possesses immortality, regeneration, superhuman durability, speed, and strength. He's also an expert at acrobatics, demolitions, espionage, gadgetry, and martial arts. Nighthawk is a superb athlete who possesses superhuman strength, enhanced agility and durability, jet-powered artificial wing system, artificial claw tips, and the use of lasers and projectile weapons. Who would win? These two would be evenly matched with two sections, Talon's regeneration and immortality. Talon would set up a bomb in an abandoned building before the fight. During the fight, Talon and Nighthawk would exchange blows for the first few minutes. Talon would then gain the upper hand, get Nighthawk near the abandoned building, throw him through the window, rush away from the building, and set off the bomb. Talon wins. But wait! Seconds after the bomb goes off, Nightwing miraculously escapes the building unharmed. With his wing system, he flies undetected behind Talon and slits Talon's throat with his claw tips. Nighthawk wins. But wait! I did mention that Talon is immortal, didn't I? Okay, good. Talon gets back to a vertical base, grabs one of his knives, and ends the fight by hurling it at Nighthawk's head with all of his strength and stabbing Nighthawk in the back of his head. Talon wins, and that concludes this fight on the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Alright, well, I hope y'all enjoyed that fight. If you have any requests you want to make, please make them. It could be a comic book character versus another comic book character, and it can even be a comic book character versus a video game character. I've been having to come up with some of my own, and it really do my heart good if some of y'all would come up with yours as well. I will definitely feature them. Alright, now it's time for Comically Speaking, so without further ado, let's talk comics! Alright, there's only one thing I'm going to talk about, and that's my thoughts on the King in Black miniseries. Now, the King in Black miniseries mostly centers around Eddie Brock and Venom, but it's not a Venom miniseries. It's actually a Marvel-wide miniseries, because Null, who is the King of the Symbiotes, has come to Earth, and he is pretty much encased Earth in an entire shield of symbiotes. And not only that, he's also sent symbiotes to infect different characters throughout the Marvel Universe, including the X-Men. I mean, he's somehow gotten through Krakoa's barriers, and he's infecting a lot of them, including Cyclops, Wolverine, and Jean Grey. But then we also found out that Eddie Brock's son Dylan is he is like one of those that really aren't infected by Null, and even gave Null the business. Now, the one thing about these symbiotes that differs from Venom or Carnage, they can't be hurt by fire or vibrations. Now, they can be hurt by lightning, and also other things, and that's where Thor, Storm, and the Miles Morales Spider-Man come in handy. In a tie-in with the King in Black miniseries in Miles Morales in Miles Morales Spider-Man number 23, he encounters a symbiote infected Ms. Marvel, but he ends up freeing her due to his stinging ability, and then and some other things. But then after Jean Grey is freed from one of the symbiotes, she tries to probe into Noel's mind, and she finds out that that he's not truly the darkness, and that there's only one thing that can truly destroy him, and that's a symbiote made of pure light. And this symbiote, and when she finds out, she ends up summoning that symbiote to come to Earth, and with the help of the Silver Surfer, he actually breaks through the symbiotic barrier on Earth and ends up finding its host. And who might that be? Eddie Brock, the first Venom, and the second person on Earth to possess the Venom symbiote. Of course, the first was Spider-Man. And King in Black number 5 comes out this week. I can't wait to read it, and as soon as I read it, I'll let y'all know in a future episode. But I'm really loving this. This was after the events of Absolute Carnage that this was going to happen. That Noel was finally going to come to Earth, and he was going to pretty much try to kill everyone. And this miniseries, I'm telling you, Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman, who did the writing and art respectively, they did not disappoint. I've loved this tandem ever since they started writing the current Venom miniseries. The current Venom monthly series rather, and can't wait to read the final issue. All right, that's it for Comically Speaking. Let's get to the comics I bought this week.
Comic books I bought this week.
All right, first up is Action Comics number 1029. The Amazing Spider-Man number 62. Batman Catwoman number 4. Black Panther number 24. Captain America number 28. Detective Comics number 1034. Excalibur number 19. The Flash number 768. Guardians of the Galaxy number 12. Miles Morales Spider-Man number 24. Power Pack number 4. Future State Superman versus Imperious Lex number 3. Teen Titans Academy number 1. And finally, not finally, X-Men number 19. And now, finally, X-Men Legends number 2. Alright, that's 16, which brings the total number of comics now bought since December of 1997 to 10,548. Alright, well, I hope y'all enjoyed this week's episode. And here's a question again for a free tee for next week's episode of the show. Now, I want y'all to think very carefully before you answer this question. True or false? Stan Lee founded Marvel Comics. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tee on next week's episode of the show. And congratulations to Liz Mills from Brooklyn, New York, who won a free tee on this week's episode. I want to go ahead and say this before I talk about what I'm going to cover on next week's episode of the show, because it's something that's been weighing heavily on me, and I'm kind of reiterating what I said in the opening segment. But we just need to start listening and stop making assumptions and stop judging, because when you judge, when you make judgments like that, when you make assumptions, that's not a reflection on what you're making the judgment against. It's a reflection on you. And I know what some of y'all are thinking, well, I'm an adult, I'll do what I want. That is a cop-out. That's just an excuse. We need to stop making all these excuses for why we make assumptions, for why we judge people and judge things. Listening is the only way that we're going to advance. Now, again, as I said in the opening segment, it's the 21st century, and the only thing that's really advanced is technology. But the worst thing that's not advanced, that needs to evolve, is listening. We need to listen to each other. We need to, we need to start asking questions when we're not sure about something, because when we judge, when we assume, it's almost like you don't give a rip. Don't live that way. Alright, on next week's episode of the show, I'm going to show some love to the men and women's national basketball champions. Now, on the women's side, it's Stanford. They beat Arizona 64-63 in the national championship game on Easter Sunday. And then the very next night, Baylor ended up winning their first NCAA championship 86-70 against Gonzaga. I'm going to show some love to both of them. I already have some comic hero tees made in honor of these schools. Congratulations to both schools. Congratulations to the players, the coaches, and the state that these colleges are in. And it's just like I always say. The only thing that's going to get us through this thing called life is love. We have to show love to everyone. We can't. And even if you don't know that person, you shouldn't have to know that person to show love to them. Excuse me. And that's my aim. And that's just not my aim here on the show. That's my aim in everyday life. All right, I'm Victor Nully. I'm a comic hero. I'll see you next week for episode 352. So until then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero.